We know how important it is to share the stories of those lost in the Holocaust so they can be honored and remembered. And now there is a unique exhibit that brings personal stories to life by way of restored musical instruments. Appropriately called Violins of Hope, the exhibit is currently on display at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage. Ellen Rudolph, the museum's executive director, is here to give us a preview. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what are Violins of Hope?
Violins of Hope are instruments that survived the Holocaust and have been restored to concert quality by Israeli master violin maker Amnon Weinstein. Weinstein lost many relatives, hundreds of relatives in the Holocaust, and he dedicates the work that he does to the family members he never knew.
So he's restored how many violins?
He has, his collection has around 60 violins. Wow. We have 19 of them on display at the Maltz Museum. 18 of them are from Amnon's collection, and one is making its American debut from Yad Vashem, which is the World Center for Holocaust Education and Research.
Okay, so you've got a nice selection. And these violins aren't just on display for people to see, they're actually going to be played, is that right?
Right, right. We will actually be taking the violins out of the cases, and musicians from the Cleveland Institute of Music and the Baldwin Wallace Conservatory of Music will be playing them at various times throughout the run of the exhibition. So people will have the chance to actually connect with the people who originally owned them.
And hear what it must have sounded like many, many years ago when the original owners were playing them. That's
exactly.
So they're going to be at the museum doing this, or is it around town?
Yes, well, the musicians will be playing the instruments at the museum in our galleries, but there are also many, many concerts around town throughout Northeast Ohio. We are working with 7 cultural partners as part of Violins of Hope, educational and cultural institutions, and all of those partners have a great deal of programming.
Excellent, excellent. So there's stories behind some of the instruments, right? Can you tell us a few of the stories?
Sure. Well, there's one violin that came from Auschwitz and was played by a gentleman in the men's orchestra there, and he was part of a sanctioned orchestra that played during, while work details marched in and out of camps and welcomed people as they were coming off the trains and arriving at the concentration camps.
They actually had orchestras.
They really did. It's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. And there was somebody else who was playing, what, in a cafe or something in town? What was that?
There's another incredible story of a very young man, about 12 or 14 years old, who had joined a band of partisans who attempted to fight the Nazis. He was hired by the Nazis to entertain them in one of their soldiers' clubs. And what he would do each night, instead of taking his violin home with him, he would hide the violin in the club, take the case with him, fill it with explosives, and stockpiled explosives in the club. And then when there was a meeting of high-ranking Nazi officials, he blew the building up with the Nazis inside of it.
That took guts.
Yes.
For somebody that young. And the exhibit is unique not only for its content, but also the display in the museum. So tell us about that. I think we got some pictures of that too.
Yes, it's an original exhibition that the Maltz Museum created, and it's a very immersive exhibition that features music and mural-sized imagery, of course the violins themselves, and the violins are housed in these kinds of structures that are made with string to evoke the violin.
Oh, okay.
So there are also videos that we created. We spoke to orchestra musicians after they played the violins in the concert here in Cleveland, so it's you get to really connect with the music and the instruments themselves.
So quickly, what's the one thing you hope people take away from the exhibit?
I hope people will get a sense of the transcendent power of music and how it really served to save people's lives during the Holocaust.
That's right, that's true. Personal stories, the art of the instruments themselves, and the beauty of the music they create make Violins of Hope a profoundly moving exhibit. It's on display at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage through January 3rd. My thanks to Ellen for sharing a bit of the exhibition with us here today.
Learn more by calling the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage at 216-593-0575 or visit www.maltzmuseum.org.